All right, now we're at the exterior of the unit, and again, this is very typical, right? We've got 2x6 exterior walls. This 2x6 for sound control, and then it'll have 5/8 type X on the inside. It's using 3/8 or 7/16, excuse me, OSB on the exterior, and then it'll be a proprietary stucco finish on that. That creates the 1 hour system for this particular wall. Now, if we take a look at the next level here, right above the double top plate, you can see the rim board. So again, this is the spot where we want to try and maintain that 1 hour between the outside and the inside, and vice versa. And this is 1.5" thick rim board, and the purpose of that is that meets the same criteria as dimension lumber for draft stopping. And so that'll work just by itself. Now, that is usually called by the local building department. But again, remember that this particular wall, this exterior wall, was on a 0 lot line. And that's why we want to make sure that there's no way for fire to get into the structure from the outside or from the structure inside to adjacent structures. So now we're inside the garage of this unit, and let's take a look here up at the floor system, the floor ceiling assembly. And what you're looking at here is the 2x4 flange joist, and they're spaced 24 inches apart. This is the first part of the 1 hour assembly. And one of the things that's interesting about using an I-joist for a floor in this kind of configuration is that because the space between the joists is sort of automatically draft stopped, if you will, because there's a solid web between it, then the sprinklers only have to be sprinkled down. So here you can see the actual fitting going down. There's no sprinkler fittings going up. That's a cost-saving feature, and it helps quite a bit. The magic number is 160 cubic feet, and if there was a bigger area than that, then they would have to sprinkle up. But that's virtually impossible to have happen when you're using an I-joist floor in the typical spans and depths that. All right, we're back inside the garage again, a little bit farther along in construction. Now you can see the resilient channels have been installed. And if we zoom in on them a little bit here, notice that there's slots in each of these channels. That's the key differentiator between that and a hat channel. And also notice that the way they're fastened. And you can see that there's a screw holding that channel together on the left-hand side, and the next channel's also fastened on the left-hand side. That's actually a critical piece of the installing resilient channels. All the fastening should be on the identical side. And what that does is if they didn't do that and they had it on opposite sides, then the channels can actually work against each other and actually allow some sound transmission. And as we pan around, you can see that those are the floor joist cavities. When I mentioned the 160 cubic feet, that's the area that we're talking about, that if we didn't have that, then it would require the sprinklers to be up into the system. All that's left here now at this point is for the 5/8 type C gypsum that'll be going on the ceiling here, as well as the thermofiber bats that go on top of these resilient channels, and then any additional insulation that the architect wants for sound control. So we're still here at the fire separation wall, and this is an area that is of major concern, which is when you go from one wall section to the next and you've got a floor cavity in between it, what do? So up to this point right here, there's 5/8 drywall on this side of the wall and the same on that side of the wall. So up to the double top plate, it's a true 1 hour. As soon as we cross it into this area here where the floor is on the opposite side, that's the area of concern. And this is what section 708 deals with. And so right now you can see what we have here is we've got a TGI coming in and bearing directly on this wall and a blocking panel. So this will not be drywalled at this point, so we don't have a true 1 hour system in here. But for draft stopping purposes, the deck does come across, so you've got some draft stopping right there. But more importantly, as this goes up through to the roof area, and it's also been draft stopped and drywalled on both sides, so we can take advantage of this spot not having to have anything solid here. The alternate would be, in some jurisdictions, they may force you into a situation where you have to actually use a solid piece of rim board right here and or drywall the opposite side of it to get that full 1 hour continuation through this spot. All right, now we're upstairs in the unit, and you can see we just still have the finished or unfinished subfloor up here. But take a look. Right around the edges here, there's a double plate. What this is for 1.5 inches of lightweight concrete that will go on top of this. And so this bottom plate here allows the trades to find that exact spot for 1.5 inches so they can level it out. The second plate here is for trimming and drywall attachment. Now right now we actually would consider this to be a complete 1-hour assembly. The OSB here, as well as the joist, the resilient channels, the thermofiber, and the Type-C on the bottom. That actually makes the full 1-hour system. The additional gypcrete that will go on top of here, this is a common question, does not actually add any additional fire resistance. It helps from a sound transmission standpoint, but it doesn't actually improve the fire rating of the floor. In addition to the gypcrete, I found out just recently from the architect, they're going to actually add an additional acoustomat below this gypcrete. And so that'll be on here first before they put the gypcrete in place, and that'll even increase the sound transmission even a little bit better, and particularly the IIC number. Thanks for joining us for this case study seminar on fire assemblies for engineered wood products. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to, in your course, there's a little tab called Contact My Learning Group. You'll find my name. There's a couple of other ones of us who are very familiar with this subject. I'm more than happy to respond to you. You can also obviously talk to your eye-level sales representative, who should be fairly familiar with all these issues too, and get you all the details you need. Enjoy, and before you cut out of this though, there is a short exam that is required for AIA. Go ahead and you'll see that in the exam tab. Click on that, take it. It won't take you very long, and you'll get your certificate and everything will be in great shape. Thanks again.